Hello, my name is Robert Oberfall. I'm going to be showing you today how to import material into the hardware database for DFMPro. And so I'm going to clean out my database here. We'll delete the records, say OK, and say hardware database, open it up and look at the contents. There's nothing in it. When we ship DFMPro out of the box, the hardware database is empty. So we have to add data to it. And how we do that is we facilitate that through an Excel spreadsheet. In the Excel spreadsheet itself, there's information about the data that can be added to it by parameters. And so there is a help file information about hardware database. So if you were to go to the actual help file and take a look at the information in the help file, you would be able to see that DFMPro does in fact give us the capability to have that information inside of the help file, which tells you what parameters are being used and so on. So to run this application, you must be administrator. So this is the rule manager. The rule manager has the hardware database facility in it so that we can import the data, but we have to run this as administrator. So I'm going to show you how you do that first. So you go to where DFMPro is loaded, and in this case on my machine out of the box, it's loaded in a specific area, and this is the path. So it is the program files, geometric, DFMPro for Creo parametric, 64-bit, DFMPro. So I'm currently in this folder. And if we look here and I sort by type, I want to sort by applications. It's the first application that comes up. So this is the rule builder here. So what I want to do is I want to right mouse click and tell it to run it as administrator. And when I do that, the application will open up as administrator, giving me a new file name, which I don't need at this point because I'm just going to be adding information into the hardware database. So there's that. So that's how you get to it. Again, there's the path, there's the executable. And so we'll go ahead and close that down. Now that I have that executable open, I have my Excel spreadsheet open. That Excel spreadsheet then is going to be looking at information about the specific hardware. And so it has headings in the parameters, as you can see here, all the way through. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parameters that are going to be used. And to get more clarification on what this looks like, what we'll do is we'll go through and we'll look at the actual rule that I'm going to be updating, which is bolt and screw rationalization. And when I say I'm going to be updating it, I want to add 2 bolts to the bolt and screw rationalization hardware database. And so I'll open this up here. First, we'll say we're going to configure the rule. If I say edit, there's the bolt and screw rationalization telling me what fields are mandatory. But let's take a look at something else here. I'm going to go into, instead of hitting the edit button, I'm going to look at the help file first. And then I'm going to drag that help file over so we can see what parameters are actually needed and how those correlate to the actual spreadsheet that I was showing you. So there's P1, hardware name, P1, hardware type, H1, head type, H2, thread, T, D, and so on, all the way through to remark. Don't have any remark in there, but preferred hardware. So with bolt and screw rationalization, you can go ahead and tell DFMPro, this is the standard that I want to have for the S is the preferred hardware, this guy, which is this name, and this one is not preferred hardware. And the one I want to use for the P2 is this guy, which is the same name here. So this is how this works, but point of this is to show you how to get this data into the hardware database. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this hardware database up. So I know where my file is located. This is my authoring tool to import information. So I'm going to be modifying and adding this file and always updating in here. And so at this point in time, there's no data. So I want to click anywhere with my left mouse button if you're right-handed. to be able to go anywhere. And I'm going to hold the control key down on my keyboard and press the I key. So that's going to allow me to control I. So it will open a form, a Windows form, that's going to let me grab a file. And this file is the one I'm grabbing is this guy here, which has this data in it. It can be hundreds of or thousands of records in here, 4 rows with the data. And I can take that data and I can tell it that I want to open it. And magically now you see I have just opened up and modified the database. So let's take a look at something here. Let's say, for instance, now that I have that in there, if I press OK, I've got that database updated. So now to prove that, we'll go ahead and we'll open up and press the button again, and you'll see the data is now in there. Even though I haven't saved this as a rule file, I'm using this facility here for the database to import data. As administrator, when I do that, I'm opening up the capability to write to the database. So now, let's say I want to do something here, and I accidentally put this as round on this value here. And if I say OK and we open that up again, it's round. But really, the value for the head type should be hexagonal. And so what I want to do is I want to modify it. So I come back here and I change this to hexagonal. And then I want to update my database. So I save it. And then I'll come here, click anywhere in here and do the control I again. I'll select the same file and select it and say open. And notice what DFMPro is telling me. Duplicate values are present in the Excel sheet. Do you want to overwrite? And of course I do. Watch what happens to the word round. It changes because of the controlling document. So this is how you modify information in the database. It won't add extra data to it because it knows it already exists by this authoring document. And now the data is in there. And so it allows me to do an import for fresh data and an import for updating any data or adding any data. I can add more records here and it would add them. It wouldn't duplicate these because they're already in there. It knows that. It will just add data. So this is the methodology for how this works. So again, parameters, spreadsheet, save the spreadsheet in a location. It becomes the authoring tool for your hardware database. And that's how you add those pieces of information into the database. And so let's take a look at the help file here. If I just come here and search and say hardware, you'll see that in the help file information, there's lots of places for the hardware to be added. And so, you can come through and look at preferred hardware, for instance, and you can see the data that's associated to preferred hardware. Missing washer, they show you how to get the data in there for the washers. Floating fastener calculation, that one uses the database as well in here. And so, it goes on and on and on. Fastener accessibility, you press that, there's the hardware type again. So you can see washer, nut, bolt. And there are certain names of things that you can add to the preferred hardware list for those specific items. And so as you go through, it's best to read the help file information so that you can see what data needs to be used in the actual access of this hardware database. And so with that, we'll go ahead and conclude this training. Hopefully it was good for you. And again, if you wanted to save this file, you could as a new DFM type rule file, which has a .dfm extension, and then you could use it. And so this is for administrators who have access rights to the hardware database or to the actual DFMPro database, which is this guy here, the database, and he has access to all data that's associated to rule files that have data stored in the database. So again, my name is Robert Oberfall. Thank you for watching. I hope this was informative for you on how to add data to the database for hardware, how to update database, how to delete database information. And I showed you that by doing the clicking of the first row. If I hit delete, then that thing is gone. If I come back in and I do Control I, we select them again. Now the other record will be added. And yes, hardware data is in there. Boom, I go and add it. So that's how that works. So have a good day. Thank you. Bye. Mm-hmm.